come back to kind of multi-faith society and multi-faith Britain that Raggy was talking about. What role have you sort of personally played then in talking to and coming together with other faiths, and in particular with such a focus on Islam and Muslims, the other Muslim community? What interactions have you had with Muslims and Muslim leadership in this country, and what have you kind of learned from those interactions?
I mean, quite a lot. Though I wouldn't claim any great leadership or any great experience in these areas. I mean, first of all, there was my experience, which I've alluded to in Huddersfield, where I was living in a community where most of my neighbours were Muslims, where my children's friends, they were at a school where most of the children were Muslims, so their friends were Muslims. And I think that's probably shaped my understanding more than I realise. In fact, answering your questions actually made me realise how it shaped it, because I think for me, friendship is the important thing, which may sound I fear that sounds like setting the bar rather low, but I don't think so. My experience is that that if you asked a lot of a lot of white people, I mean, have you got friends who are Muslims? I fear the answer might be no. So friendship seems to me to be really, really important. And I suppose even as I speak now, I think I learned that just by living in that community, and these were my neighbours. So you just got to know people. When I became Bishop of Reading, which was my first job as a bishop, we introduced a kind of whole policy of friendship, and all the interfaith work that was done in Reading was based around building friendship. So doing things together, eating together. We had a picnic once a year where the different faiths would all get together. And we weren't trying to have theological debate. We weren't trying to agree or disagree with one another, but we were committed to getting to know each other. And that felt really good and important work to do. And I think that also carried on when I became, up before York, I was the Bishop of Chelmsford, which includes the East End of London, the London Borough of Newham, which I think is officially the most diverse place in Western Europe. So these were big issues of diversity, interfaith, multi-faith were huge issues for us. And I think we carried on a similar policy of, there's so much we could do together, so much we should do together, but we don't actually know each other very well. So let's try to build ways of getting to know each other. My favourite story of this, which I must briefly tell you, is there's a wonderful priest in East London called Chigo Chike, who's Nigerian. He's an academic. And he's written lots of books about these issues. He's written a wonderful little book about Christians befriending and getting to know Muslims. And he was one of the coordinators of interfaith stuff in East London, in Newham. And the first event he invited me to was a sort of pre-Christmas get-together for faith leaders. And I had no idea really what I was coming to, but I arrived at this meeting, and Chigor welcomed us all and introduced the evening. We knew there was going to be a meal, and he said, "Well, we're going to eat the meal first." And he said, and there was about 20 of us there. He said, I want each of us to speak for just a little while, so that we can get to know each other. Could you all please tell us your favourite joke? And so after dinner, one by one, we all. Which is a nerve-wracking thing to do, we all stood up and told a joke to everybody else. Now, I'm sure if I'd said to people, I'm going to an interfaith meeting this evening, leaders of all the different faith traditions in East London, people would have thought I was going to a very serious, highbrow, maybe quite tense meeting. We ate and we laughed together. And I have to say, the Imam told the most racy joke, I have to tell you.
You're not going to repeat it.
You know, and it was, but it was great. So, yeah, in some ways I want to apologize for not having greater wisdom than that. But actually, I think building community together, building friendship, without that.
I think I completely relate to that. I mean, I'm the founder of the Ultimate Interfaith group, which has now been going for 20 years. Actually, I helped set that up in 2001 after 9/11. In fact, to bring the different faith communities in Altrincham, South Manchester together. And actually, what the thing that we've concentrated on most is what we call friendship circles. And each circle has a couple of Muslims, a couple of Jews, a couple of Christians, Hindus. We have very few Sikhs in the area who regularly meet in each other's homes and get to know each other as individuals, because we believe that that's really the best way of people really getting to know each other and becoming friends. And my particular friendship circle has now been going for 16 years, and I think that's quite right. So it's at that deeper level then that you really understand and actually talk about things which are common, and realizing that we are, as human beings, have pretty much the same concerns and things. And as people of faith, of course, our faith drives us so much.
Sorry, Iftikhar.
Yeah. So no. Please comment. Yeah.
No, I mean it's so easy for us to other each other, and talk about each other. You know, I mean, simple phrases like, which I've always tried to call out in the church. You know, people often will refer to anybody who's not a Christian as a non-Christian. And I always challenge that when I hear it and say, well, hang on a minute, that doesn't feel to me like a good phrase to use. I said, I wouldn't want to be described as a non-Muslim, or a non-Jew. Let's honor people by if they are a member of another faith community, let's call them by that, not call them by what they're not.
Yeah.
But actually, I mean, that, and that in a way that's the mildest form of it's hardly abusive to call somebody a non-Christian. But actually, you have started to other them and not to honor who they are. And as soon as you get to know somebody, you just don't think about doing it. You just, as soon as there's a relationship there, the relationship is, first of all, with our common humanity, then our common humanity amplified by our common belief in God, and then, yes, distinguished by the different faith traditions that we hold, but we hold them as sisters and brothers, friends. So I think that is the place to begin. I just suppose I don't feel as if I've ever got a lot further than that beginning.